what's going on, everybody? Good afternoon from the western part of the United States. This is Droopy here, and what an exciting event we're going to have here in the next few minutes. It's the finals, guys, the grand finals, and RSL Season 2 is very sadly coming to a close. But one thing we can be happy about is crowning that champion for Season 2, and it's down to 2 players right now, a couple of Zergs, a couple of very impressive European Zergs. That's where we're actually over here in the EU server now. So those of you who've been following RSL since, well, basically the very beginning, you know, it basically winds down from a nice large pool of players, qualifiers open to the public, and now we have come down to just 2 players. It's going to be a best of 7. It's going to split a nice big prize pool, $350 between the 2 of them, $225 for the winner, $125 for the runner-up. And, of course, the rest of the $600 prize pool has already been doled out to the semi-finalists, the quarterfinalists, and they had their chance to shine. Now we're going to see here who's going to be the boss in this ZVZ. Starting in game number 1 is going to be Echo LE. This is going to be the map determined by vetoes, of course. And let's see who's spawning where. On the bottom right-hand side is going to be the blue Zerg player representing Brawl Esports and hailing from Germany, guys. This, ladies and gentlemen, is KiToO. And against him is going to be the red Zerg player on the upper left, playing for Team Acer, guys. We do have here the king of online cups. Can he be the king of this one, too? It is Bly. So yeah, remember yesterday had that little nice interview with Bly after he won his series 3-0 against Peely Peely. He said that he likes to play in these online cups, doesn't feel that, you know, they're beneath him or anything like that, and certainly not RSL considering the nice chunk of change that you get when you win. But, you know, Bly was saying that it's great for practice. It's great just to, you know, compete and that excitement of competition. And I guess apparently he's an insomniac as well when you consider the fact that it's, what is it, like, right now it's 3 p.m. Pacific time. It's probably something like 1 o'clock a.m. It was even crazier the few days before when we were having these round of 4s and 8s at 6 p.m., in which case it'd be really late in EU. But yeah, that doesn't seem to deter Bly and doesn't stop him from playing at a high level. So let's see if he can do that in this game. For KiToO, yeah, his work's cut out for him. I mean, he's playing against a really strong Zerg player, but he himself has certainly, you know, not disappointed considering how far he's made it in this tournament. And really just thoroughly dominating opponents in his last couple series, especially the last one. Who did he play against? I'm blanking on Zeal. It was his teammate. And Zeal was a challenger, WCS challenger in NA, but, you know, compared to KiToO, it didn't even seem like much of a challenge at all. So I'm looking forward to see if KiToO here can embrace that underdog role and really take things up a notch. It is ZVZ. It's always very volatile in these mirror matchups, particularly when we're talking about 2 Zerg players. We're looking at micro wars when we're Banes and Lings early on. It can get crazy. So far, though, it looks like both players are, you know, expanding, getting the pool afterwards. So, you know, both of them have considered just playing a little more macro-oriented at first, not going pool first to get those Lings out. I mean, we've seen Bly do this. Bly has never been a stranger or afraid of getting out early Lings to pressure and harass. But maybe perhaps in ZVZ, for him, he has to play a little more cautiously because his opponent can do the same or hard counter easily. It's hard to say. It's such a tricky matchup to have to figure out as you go along. And we're going to see here KiToO go ahead and drop that Baneling Nest. So will that signal necessarily that he wants to go to a Ling Bling battle, sorry, with Bly? Or is it just for defensive purposes? Because even then, they get that Baneling Nest just in case the opponent attacks. And this person who got the Baneling Nest may never attack at all. So you just got to keep an eye out and see, see what's going to happen here. as both players finishing up speed. Bly now getting his Baneling Nest, so choosing to mine a few more minerals before. Now this might even be just the ultimate defensive Baneling Nest here. If you're going to get it later than your opponent, then you're banking on the fact that your opponent has to take a little bit of time to walk over and get some of that walking distance time for you to have enough so you can morph it home, get your Baneling Nest finished. Right now, KiToO morphing a couple Banes at home, actually. So usually what happens is you morph the Banes in front of your opponent's base if you're preparing to attack. If you morph them at home, you're preparing to defend. And it's just as well. We got a lot of Lings heading over here from Bly, and he is going to be the one putting on the aggression despite the later Baneling Nest. So KiToO just ready at the top here. And of course, one great thing about playing ZVZ is you don't have to be your overlords in the center of the map and just keep an eye out on everything, because Zergs are not likely to have anti-air out in the middle of the map in the early stages of the game. So Bly threatening to pressure, has 2 Banelings sitting outside here of what would be KiToO's third. And it looks like Bly is going to go ahead and transition here. I mean, KiToO's ready at the top. And I don't think Bly was, really considering pressuring, but I think he's a little tentative on trying to actually advance up the ramp and trade units right now. He just wants to, he's thinking, okay, well, if it's not going to be an easy battle, then I'm just not going to take it, because really you're just playing with fate if you do that. So Bly's going to back off here, transition. KiToO himself recognizing the threat is extinguished. He's going to go ahead and we have a queen that just roamed all the way out here. Not sure if that was intentional by Bly, because that was out pretty far. But we're going to see Bly still morph a few more Blings out here. KiToO sets off one of them. That was actually a good trade there for Bly, as all the Lings died with 1 Baneling. Now we're seeing both players transition into Spire. So that's another tricky thing about ZVZ too. Do you go into Roach? Do you go into Spire? Well, at this point in the game, generally, if both players haven't gone Roach already, they're going to just go for the air tech, because they're going to have the economy to do it. Otherwise, if they wanted to go with Roach, we kind of have seen that maybe a few minutes earlier. But now, both players going to move on into Muta, and we might just see Muta on Muta action here. So a couple more trading going on in the center right now. And sometimes it's really hard to quantify what the trades are without looking at the units lost tab, but luckily as observers we have that benefit, and it does look like so far KiToO is winning that battle by a slight bit, but nothing too out of hand, as both players are now grabbing their 3rd hatcheries as well. So we have the first set of mutas coming from Bly here, as KiToO deciding to go and grab that Carapace first, the flying Carapace, and then adding on the mutas afterwards. So bit of a trade-off here. One guy going for upgrade a little sooner, the other guy getting the mutas out sooner. Difference may just be negligible depending on who attacks who and who attacks who first and when. But for the most part, we're seeing similar play styles, matching strength for strength. A lot of times, Zerg games, Z games in particular, do sort of devolve into this who has the most of X, who has the best X, right? Quality and quantity combined. Now Bly is going to test that of KiToO. He's going to send these mutas over here. Oh, there's more from KiToO, though, because of Defender's Advantage. Bly running away in the nick of time there, because every single muta counts when we're talking about both players making the same exact thing. If you lose a muta, that's you, falling back a bit. Oh, no, we do have a little bit of lag here from one of the observers. So that's unfortunate, and something that the players would very much not like to see. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But anyhow, Bly flying in, sniping a couple drones there that were mining the gas. Of course, gas mining extremely important. Zergs oftentimes gas blocked when they are going mass mutas. So KiToO going to have to repopulate that extractor as soon as possible. And let's take a look at the muta count. Units tab going up here. Let's see, 13 mutas for KiToO, 11 for Bly. So KiToO is winning slightly here, as Bly has been a little more aggressive with his mutas. Hasn't lost any yet. Nobody's lost mutas. It's just a difference of who's made how many, who's produced how many, not so much who's lost mutas. Oh, potential lost mutas right here. Who's going to get first blood right now? KiToO trying to run away. His mutas are falling in orange health, but none of them are actually being taken out. But This is a risky sort of thing because KiToO's going to have to fight over spores, ideally, if he has any, or queens to help out, because if he engages even with an equal amount of mutas, his being weaker would be a major issue. He also does now Carapace, that upgrade for a slight time. Oh, that looked like a lost muta right there, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, it was just an Overlord. So still, we have yet to see either player lose a muta, which is actually pretty crazy. Just shows you the kind of control on both players' sides. No major mistakes being made. Right now, Bly flirting with the idea of attacking that natural. Needs to back away from the Spore, of course. Spores are fairly deadly. I mean, there is a point where you can just get up a critical mass of mutas to take out Spores very quickly, but both players, while approaching that number, are not quite there yet. Ooh, Ling run by on to third base right now. And that's going to send KiToO and his mutas over to the third, which, of course, tells Bly where his army is. So Bly's now going to consider attacking the natural. And did we see a muta dead? Still no. Still no mutas dead. Oh, both players being so conservative with their units, knowing how important it is to just have the numbers advantage in this sort of a situation. Right now, Bly continuing to add on mutas, same with KiToO. Upgrades is also a very key thing. We're seeing Bly and KiToO go for different things. We're seeing level 2 Carapace for Bly, whereas KiToO is getting +1 attacks. Now, generally speaking, I honestly believe that +2 Carapace is the better thing to go for, just because the armor is so much more helpful combined with the regen of the mutas. It really helps more. KiToO thinking he can go for a Carapace, perhaps signaling he may want to be more offensive and, you know, harass heavy with his mutas. I don't know, but we're going to find out very soon whose plan is better than the other, because mutas 35 to 34 with KiToO just 1 less, and level 2 upgrades, or the second upgrades for both players, about to finish. But still, nobody seems to be willing to fully engage in that big battle yet. Bly considering going in, but not quite committing to it. We have a Ling run by as well that Bly is sending in now. So KiToO thinking he has to defend that new base, that new expansion, sends his mutas over there, but now he's going to lose some drones over there in his natural. Ooh, Bly almost considering an attack. He's going to attack into this. Very risky considering there are queens underneath. And KiToO thinking that his opponent has made a mistake is giving chase. Is that true? Is that the case, guys? Let's see the units right now. It looks like KiToO is winning the muta war, but there are some more reinforcements arriving from Bly, so it's not clear-cut yet, but KiToO does have 30 mutas compared to the 20 of Bly, and Bly has to back off. So excellent trade-off there for KiToO. The only thing I can say for him is that he has been kind of losing some drones here and there with these Ling run-bys. He's lost 12 in the entirety of this game, and that accounts almost entirely for the deficit we see here in workers. KiToO on 60, well, now up to 67 again after droning a bit, and Bly at 76. So that may just give Bly enough time, enough economy to make up for the loss of mutas, perhaps. Another Ling run by from Bly, again, just staying aggressive with that, where he is tentative with the mutas and doesn't want to accidentally lose too many of them like he already has. He can try to go for harassments on the ground, and they seem to be working for him, but not this time, though. 12 workers killed still, so these Lings did not quite do the trick. And KiToO right now back up to 70 workers, and he is up by 24 supply right now. The muta counts, well, doesn't look like Bly has made up the difference and doesn't plan on it anymore. He's actually moved into Infestor, and that's typically what Zergs will do when they are behind in the muta count, whether it is from a lost battle, whether it is from a slow, oh my gosh, a collision in the center right now. Units backing up. We have Lings running by as well into Bly's base. KiToO giving Bly a little taste of his own medicine. Mutas from KiToO splitting up for a second there. Oh my gosh, Bly could have easily turned around and sniped a bunch of those things, but KiToO's going to get out in time. We're going to see these Lings wrecking havoc in the main base, take out the infestation pit. That's going to be huge there for KiToO, as Bly was banking on, of course, fungal growths to help deal with this huge muta count. Oh, the infestors are arriving. Will the fungals land where they need to? KiToO's fungal landed on the infestors, not the mutas. Now they're landing on the mutas. And fungals on both sides. But there's so many more mutas here for KiToO. It doesn't matter right now. Bly down to 11. KiToO on 31. Oh my gosh, they're all in red health from KiToO. One more fungal blast can do it, but it's not going to happen. Not enough energy from these infestors, and I think KiToO here is going to be able my goodness, to take this battle. Oh my gosh, but the last fungal did kill off a bunch of those mutas. But I have to say, though, KiToO in the last 60 seconds has really earned himself a huge advantage. Massive advantage. 162 to 93 supply, taking out the infestation pit. Critical tech structure for Bly, as KiToO is also ahead on worker 66 to 45. And KiToO took out the fourth base of Bly as well. I don't really see an easy way for Bly here to sustain himself in this game right now. He's going to try to go for this Ling run by. This is almost a Hail Mary of sorts here, hoping he can take out a lot of economy, but KiToO just quick to the punch there. He even had a drone ready to take the top center base, which actually scouted the Ling run by. The Lings of Bly did not do attack move there, and we're even seeing KiToO take this base, this forward base. That's a really aggressive expansion, to say the least. But there is not a single thing that Bly can do about it. And I think KiToO now knows just how far ahead he is, and he's looking to bring everything together now and make that one final push. Infestors arriving for KiToO. The only ones on the map right now, as Bly has no Infestors on his side. GG, and KiToO is going to take game number 1 on Echo LE. Yeah, I think I think throughout that mid game, Bly was by far way more aggressive with the mutas, staying really active with them throughout the center of the map, and that's all well and good. But you make that one mistake, and you are down 10 mutas, and then you have to go for Infestors to try to hopefully land some of those big AOE attacks. But if they don't, then that's kind of, I mean, once you're kind of backed into that sort of a situation, it's hard. It's really hard to make it work. You're almost banking on your opponent making a mistake. So you made a mistake, and then you're just sort of crossing your fingers, hoping, okay, I hope my opponent clumps up his mutas when he attacks me, or I hope that he gets over aggressive and over commits, and then I can even things up. Not a good thing to really bank on when you're playing such high-level players on both ends. So excellently done by KiToO. We're going to head into game number 2 right now, and it is going to be on Cactus Valley LE. So we had a small map last game on Echo, and both players, were pretty passive early on, despite the map being small, the attempt to, or the thought about getting aggressive on really a place where you already know where your opponent is. But now we're on Cactus Valley LE, and that can change things potentially.